Welcome to the deep dive. You, our listener, you're out there navigating this incredibly complex professional world, right? Everything's moving super fast, and honestly, English is often the common thread, the language that holds global communication together.
Absolutely. Doesn't really matter if you're leading a huge team or, just starting your career journey.
Right, and mastering the English you need for work isn't like cramming for a grammar exam. It's more strategic than that.
It really is. It's about clear communication, definitely, but also about building that rapport, that connection in all your interactions.
So that's what we're diving into today.
Yeah, that's the mission. We've looked at a whole range of sources, materials that give really concrete, practical strategies, not just theory.
Actionable stuff.
Exactly. Things you can actually use in those common workplace scenarios. We want to give you the language structures, the phrases that make you sound not just like you know English, but that you're effective, professional, confident.
And we're covering a lot of ground, aren't we? From the basics, like writing clear emails and tackling those dense reports,
The written stuff.
all the way to the really dynamic situations, meetings, one-on-ones, performance reviews. Those can be high pressure.
They definitely can be. The goal here is to give you a shortcut. Sort of replace that guesswork with phrases that we know work.
Because you can focus on what you're saying, not just how you're saying it.
That's the idea. Structural fluency, we could call it.
Okay, let's unpack this then. And I think the natural place to start, the absolute foundation, has to be email. The lifeblood of the modern office, right? Hashtag TagIA. The fundamentals of professional emailing.
It really is. And when you look at what makes professional emails work, our sources kept coming back to four core things. We're calling them the 4 Cs.
Okay, I like a good framework. What are they?
Clarity, conciseness, politeness, and consistency. Especially consistency when it comes to things like attachments following through.
Right, if you mess up on one of those.
Your credibility can definitely take a hit. People notice.
Okay, so clarity and conciseness. Sometimes those feel like they're pulling against politeness. You add polite phrases, maybe it gets a bit wordy. People are busy, they want the point fast. Where's the balance?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it? And the sources suggest the balance lies completely in how you phrase the request. It's a difference between just barking an order and making a polite, sort of nuanced request.
Like send me the data versus...
Send me the data.
Yeah.
Super concise, yes.
Yeah.
But depending on who you're talking to, the culture, it can sound more abrupt, maybe even rude. Especially if it's someone senior or, in a totally different team.
Yeah, context is everything. So how do we get that polish without rambling?
Use softening language. Modal verbs are, your friend here could, would, may. So instead of send me the report, which sounds like a demand,
Right.
you shift to something like, could you please send me the report when you have a moment? That's standard, polite. Or if maybe there's a bit more urgency, but you still need to be polite, maybe something like, I would appreciate it if you could send me the report by, say, end of day tomorrow.
I would appreciate it. That shifts the focus, doesn't it? It's not you must, it's I'd be grateful if you did.
Precisely. It frames it around cooperation, gratitude. You're using those modal verbs, like you said, to just lower the temperature a bit, make it collaborative.
Got it. Okay, let's talk about the start and end of the email. Greetings and closings, they set the whole tone right off the bat.
They absolutely dictate the tone. For greetings, look, if you know their name, dear name, is still the gold standard for formality and respect. It's safe, it's universally understood.
Even though some places are more casual now, like just hi name.
Yeah, in some, especially very casual U.S. environments, high name is totally fine for internal emails. But dear is never wrong, especially if you're emailing someone externally or someone you don't know well. It's the safer bet globally.
Okay. And for groups, emailing a whole team.
Be specific. Avoid vague stuff. Dear team works well internally. If it's a bigger group, maybe external partners, hello everyone, or perhaps to the concerned parties, if it's very formal, it shows you've thought about who you're addressing.
Makes sense. And then closing it out, you need to match that tone, right?
Absolutely vital. For anything formal, external, new contacts, sincerely, or best regards, I can't go wrong with those. They're professional, neutral.
Okay.
If the email was about them helping you or you need them to do something, closing with thank you is really effective. It's warm, shows gratitude for what they're about to do, hopefully.
Nice touch. What about colleagues you email like 10 times a day?
Yeah, for those established relationships, especially internal ones, best or kind regards are super common. They're quick, professional enough, but signal a closer working relationship. Less stuffy.
Right. Keeps things moving. Now, the main body. How do we avoid that dreaded wall of text, the long, rambling email nobody wants to read?
Rule number 1, purpose first.
Yeah.
State why you're writing in the first sentence or two. Don't bury the lead.
Get straight to it.
Yes. Successful emails, the research shows, do this consistently. I'm writing to update you on the Q3 budget, or following up on our conversation, I need your approval on the attached proposal. Clear purpose upfront.
And if you have multiple points, several things you need them to know or do.
Break it up. Short paragraphs are good. But even better, if you have more than, say, 2 distinct items, use bullet points or numbered lists. Seriously.
Yeah, it makes it scannable.
Instantly scannable. People are overloaded. Bullet points save them time, make it easy to digest, and crucially, increase the chances they'll actually address all your points.
I saw a really smart tip related to that for emails going to multiple people. Like, you clarify who needs to do something versus who's just on copy.
Oh yeah, that's highly strategic. Starting with something like, John, action needed on points 1 and 2. Sarah, David, this is just FYI. It manages expectations right away, saves everyone time figuring out if they need to act.
Brilliant. Okay, and speaking of saving time and managing expectations, attachments. This feels like a place where things go wrong easily.
Oh, constantly. This is where that 4th C, consistency, really comes into play. Just hitting attach and assuming the little paperclip icon is enough. That's a rookie mistake. A big one.
Yeah, I can see why. Did the file actually upload? Did it get stripped by a filter? You just don't know if they got it unless you say something.
Exactly. You cannot assume. You must include a specific phrase in the body of the email that explicitly points them to the attachment.
So, what's the go-to phrase?
A standard, and the one our sources consistently recommend, is simple. Please find attached the report for your review. Or maybe slightly more active, I've detached the report below for your review.
Okay, simple enough.
But it does so much. It confirms you intended to send it, it tells them to look for it, and honestly, it creates a little digital paper trail. Proof that you sent it.
Which can be really important, actually. Not just politeness, but covering your bases.
Definitely. Sometimes it's even a compliance thing.
So, wrapping up emails for the listener. Remember those 4 C's. Be clear about your purpose, concise in your structure, use courteous language, especially softening requests, and be consistent always, always. Mention your attachment.
Nail those, and your email communication will be solid. #tag2. Decoding and understanding reports in English.
Okay, let's shift gears. We're moving from writing relatively short, actionable emails to dealing with the other end of the spectrum. Reading dense, complex reports. These can be, frankly, intimidating.
They really can, especially if English isn't your first language. You're often dealing with technical jargon, very formal language, lots of data. It's easy to feel overwhelmed.
So the goal here is about strategy, right? How to break these things down efficiently, extract the meaning without getting lost in the weeds.
Precisely. And the first hurdle, usually, is vocabulary. Not just the specific technical terms for your industry, though those are important.
Yeah, you definitely need glossaries for that.
Absolutely. Keep field-specific glossaries handy. But it's also the advanced vocabulary used in formal business or academic writing, the way ideas are linked together.
You mean like transition words and logical connectors?
Exactly. Reports don't just use and, but so. They use more formal, precise terms to show the logical flow. Things like consequently or go to show result.
Or conversely, notwithstanding for contrast.
Right. Or, moreover, furthermore, to add a point. Understanding these signal words is key. They tell you immediately if the author is making a main point, qualifying something, offering a counterargument. It's like a roadmap to their logic.
So it's not just about word-for-word translation. It's about grasping the intellectual structure of the document.
That's a great way to put it. And building that vocabulary takes time, but it's crucial.
Okay, but what if you just hit a wall, a term, a phrase, even a chart you just don't understand?
Ask. Seriously. The need to ask for clarification came up again and again in the research. It is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of diligence.
Better task than to guess wrong.
Infinitely better. Guessing based on a misunderstanding, especially with data or technical specs or strategic points, can lead to really bad decisions down the line. Ask a supervisor. Ask a trusted colleague. Clarify the point. It's always the smarter move.
Okay, so vocabulary and clarification first. Now, reports are dense. We need efficiency. Strategy 2.
Go high level first.
Yeah.
Don't start on page 1 and read word for word through the methodology immediately. Find the shortcuts.
You mean the summary sections?
Exactly. Look for the executive summary or the abstract. Sometimes it's just called summary. Almost every formal report has one. It's designed to give you the main findings, the key conclusions, maybe the top recommendations, all condensed into, a page or two.
So if you're really pressed for time,
Read the executive summary and maybe jump to the final conclusions or recommendations section. That gives you the absolute core message quickly. You can dive deeper later if needed.
smart. Okay, strategy 3 involves the pictures, the charts and graphs.
Visual aids. Reports use them for a reason. They can often show trends, comparisons, complex data much more clearly than paragraphs of text can.
But they can also be misleading, right?
They absolutely can if you're not careful. So yes, pay close attention to charts, graphs, tables, but don't just glance. You have to read the labels, check the axes on graphs, what are they measuring, what's the scale, read the title and any captions carefully.
And compare the visual to what the text says about it.
Always. Does the chart really support the claim being made in the text? Sometimes a poorly designed visual can obscure the real story. Use them together, text and visuals, to get the full picture.
Makes sense. Now, another hurdle, acronyms and abbreviations. Every company, every field has its own alphabet soup.
Oh, definitely. And they can be a huge barrier if you're new or working across different areas. So, simple tip, as you read, jot down any acronyms or abbreviations you don't recognize.
And then what? Hope you figure it out from context.
Well, first, check if the report itself has a glossary or a list of abbreviations. Many longer, more technical reports do, often at the beginning or end. That's your first stop.
And if not?
Back to strategy 1. Ask a colleague. Don't guess. Mistaking, say, an SLA service level agreement for an SOW statement of work could cause major confusion. Just get clarification.
Good point. So we've read the summary, analyzed the visuals, clarified terms and acronyms. How do we make sure we've actually, understood it, not just processed the words?
This is a really important application tip. The best way to check your own comprehension. Try to explain the key findings, the main takeaways, in your own words.
Like, imagine you had to brief someone else on it.
Exactly. Or even just talk it through with yourself. Can you summarize the core message, the main arguments, the conclusions, without just parroting the report's language? That act of synthesis, of putting it into your own framework.
That forces real understanding.
It really does. And bonus, it means you're already prepped if that report comes up in conversation or if you need to present on it.
Which leads us nicely into our next section, meetings.
Right, meetings. This is where the language becomes really active, doesn't it? It's not just about understanding, it's about contributing, interacting, often in real time when things are moving fast.
Exactly. Participating effectively, especially if English is your second language, requires having some specific tools, some key phrases ready to go. So you can jump in, state your opinion, agree, disagree, politely, of course.
Okay, let's break those down, starting with just expressing your own view on something.
Sure. To offer your opinion in a way that sounds considered and professional, you can use phrases like, in my opinion, straightforward, or maybe, from my perspective, the real issue is...
A bit more analytical.
Yeah. Or if you want to sound a little less definitive, maybe invite more discussion, you could try, I think that. Or I'm sort of leaning towards the idea that.
Okay. And what if someone else says exactly what you were thinking? How do you chime in to show support? Good one. You need to clearly validate the other person. Don't just nod. Use phrases like, I agree with name on that point. Or maybe add a little more substance. I agree with name, especially regarding the timeline implications.
Shows you were listening closely.
Right. Or the very useful, that's a good point, or that's an excellent point. You can even add value by linking it. That's a great point, and it actually connects back to the data we saw earlier.
Nice. Okay, now for the trickier one. Disagreeing. In most functional teams, you need different viewpoints, but you have to voice them without, starting a fight.
This is absolutely critical, and where cultural nuances really come into play. The key rule, never just shoot down someone's idea flat. Acknowledge their contribution first.
Soften the blow.
Sort of. It's more about showing respect for their input before offering your alternative. So start with something like, I see your point, but, or I understand where you're coming from, however.
Okay, the but or however signals the disagreement is coming.
Exactly. And then state your different perspective. Maybe I see your point, but I have a slightly different perspective on how we should handle the implementation. Or, that's a valid concern, however, I'm not sure I completely agree with that approach because the because is crucial, isn't it? You can't just disagree, you need to provide a reason. Absolutely essential. Your disagreement needs to be backed by logic, data, or a reasoned argument. It's about respectful, constructive debate, not just contradicting someone.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, interrupting. Sometimes you genuinely need to jump in, maybe for a quick clarification or to add a crucial point before the conversation moves on. But, excuse me, sorry to interrupt, can feel a bit weak, maybe, especially in faster paced environments.
That's a really sharp observation. And you're right, over-apologizing can sometimes undermine your point. The research actually suggests some slightly more assertive but still polite alternatives. Instead of starting with sorry, you could try something like, may I jump in for a second? Or could I just add something quickly here? Or even more direct if the point is time sensitive. If I could just interject on that point.
Feels a bit more confident.
It does. Or, if it's really crucial, simply stating the need. Just a quick clarification on that, or one important point regarding the budget. And then making your point concisely. Minimize the disruption, maximize the value.
Good alternatives. Okay, what about when you're the one who's lost? The discussion moves too fast, someone uses jargon, you need clarification.
Don't sit there confused. Again, asking is strength. Be direct and polite. Simple phrases work best. Could you please explain that again? Or, sorry, I didn't quite catch the last part. Could you repeat it?
No shame in asking.
None at all. And if it's a specific term or concept, reference it directly. I'm not familiar with that acronym. Could you spell it out? Or what exactly do you mean by phase 2 integration? Shows you're engaged but need that specific piece.
Right. And if you want to add to someone else's idea, not disagreeing, but building on it.
Yeah, connecting your thoughts is important for flow. Use bridging phrases. Building on what Names said about the user feedback, or just to add to that point, or piggybacking on that idea, maybe we could also consider...
Keeps the thread going.
Exactly. It shows you're linking your contribution logically to the ongoing conversation, not just throwing out random ideas.
We've talked a lot about the specific phrases, the what to say, but the how matters too, right? The context, listening.
Hugely important. Active listening is kind of the unsung hero of effective meetings. It's not just hearing, it's processing. Paying attention to the tone. Is this a formal decision-making meeting or a more informal brainstorm? That affects the language you should use.
And nonverbal cues, too.
Definitely. Body language, tone of voice, they add layers of meaning. And for anyone, but especially if English is a second language, active listening means taking notes.
Ah, yes, to keep track.
Especially for key decisions and, crucially, action items. Who is doing what by when? Write it down. Don't rely on memory when the conversation is complex or fast.
Good practical tip. And for people leading meetings.
Clarity is key. Speak clearly, try to maintain a reasonable pace, don't rush through complex points, and periodically summarizing is huge. Okay, so just to recap, we've agreed on X and Y, and the next step is Z. Helps everyone stay aligned.
And for participants, maybe even paraphrasing back, what you think was decided or what your action item is.
That is the gold standard of active listening and ensuring alignment. Okay, so just to confirm my understanding, my action is to draft the proposal by Friday. Removes all ambiguity.
Excellent. So meetings are about having the right phrases, yes, but also about listening intently and understanding the flow.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Okay, let's narrow the focus now to those really quick, sharp updates, particularly the daily stand-up meetings, super common in tech, agile environments, but the principles apply elsewhere too.
Right, the daily, usually super short, like 15 minutes max.
Often, yeah. The whole point is efficiency. Get in, share critical info, get out. So the language has to be incredibly direct, incredibly structured.
And it usually follows that three-part structure, right? What I did yesterday, what I'm doing today, and any blockers.
That's the classic formula. And how you use language, especially verb tenses, within that structure is actually quite strategic. It conveys specific meaning.
How so? Let's start with yesterday's work.
Okay, when you talk about what you completed yesterday, you need to signal that it's definitively done, finished, closed.
So past tense.
Simple past tense, specifically. Using the past simple, like yesterday I finished the UI design or I fixed the critical bug, tells the team that task is off your plate, potentially ready for the next person or step.
Ah, so using something like present perfect, I have worked on the UI design, would actually be wrong here.
In the context of a stand-up aiming for clarity on completed tasks, yes, it can be confusing. Present perfect often implies the action has relevance to the present or might not be fully finished. Past simple, done.
Got it. It's a signal of completion. What about today's plan?
That's about future actions, usually things you're starting right away or focusing on immediately.
So future tense.
Most commonly, you'll use the present continuous for planned activities. Today I'm starting work on, or the going to future. I'm going to focus on the documentation. Both signal strong intention, and immediacy.
Okay. But what if your update is kind of the same for several days? Like you're working on one big feature. Saying still working on the feature isn't very informative.
That's a really common challenge. You need to provide a micro update. Break the big task down. Instead of still working on the back end, maybe say, yesterday I completed the database schema design for the feature, and today I'm starting on the API endpoints.
Ah, shows incremental progress within the larger task. Keeps it concrete.
Exactly. Still concise, but much more informative about actual progress.
Makes sense. And the third part, blockers. This feels really crucial for the team lead or scrum master.
It's probably the most critical part for keeping the project moving. If you're blocked, you must state it clearly and directly. No beating around the bush. Something like, I'm blocked because I don't have access to the test environment yet. Or, my progress is blocked pending feedback on the wireframes from the design team.
And crucially, mentioning why or who is blocking you.
Yes. You need to identify the impediments clearly so the person responsible for removing it, usually the manager or scrum master, knows exactly what needs to happen to get you unstuck. I'm waiting for the API key from John, for instance.
So stand-ups demand this super concise, structured, almost coded language. But what happens when you need to report the same kind of status, but in writing? Like a weekly email update or a section in a project report?
Ah, okay. The formality level usually needs to go up a notch. The core information might be the same, but the language needs a bit more, well, polish.
So instead of just fixed login bug.
Right. In a written report, you'd probably expand that into a full sentence, maybe use slightly more formal vocabulary. The issue affecting user login functionality was successfully resolved. Or perhaps using nominalization, turning the verb into a noun like resolution of the login bug was completed.
Sounds more formal, definitely. More professional for a written record.
Exactly. Complete sentences, maybe slightly more sophisticated verb choices, less abbreviation.
And when reporting task completion in writing, it's not just about saying it's done right. You often need to tell the reader what happens next or what they need to do.
Critical point. Never just drop a task complete bomb and leave them hanging. You need to connect it to the workflow.
How do you phrase that?
Be specific about the completion. I've now completed the first draft of the Q4 budget proposal, or the analysis of the user survey data is finished. Then, immediately state the next step or the required action from the recipient, and I have shared the document in the team folder for your review. Or, the report is attached, and I would appreciate your feedback by end of day Wednesday.
Connects the dots. Keep the process flowing smoothly.
That's the goal. Clear communication of status and next steps.
Okay, let's move into territory that often feels a bit more personal, maybe higher stakes. The one-on-one meeting, usually with your manager.
Yeah, these are really important conversations. They're less about quick updates and more about strategic discussion. Your performance, your challenges, your career growth.
And because the stakes feel higher, the communication needs to be more thoughtful, right? More detailed, perhaps. Preparation seems key here.
Absolutely paramount. You can't just wing a one-on-one effectively. You need to think beforehand about what you want to discuss, gather your thoughts, maybe even some evidence.
Let's talk about discussing performance. You can't just say, I think I'm doing a good job. You need to back it up, right?
Definitely. Vague statements don't carry much weight. You need to provide concrete examples, data if possible. Quantify your achievements.
Like what?
If it's project-based, use metrics. We completed Project X 2 weeks ahead of schedule, which saved an estimated dollars in resources. Or, my implementation of the new process led to a 15% reduction in customer support tickets for that issue.
Okay, tangible results. But what about softer skills? Things like leadership, teamwork, communication, harder to quantify.
True. For those, you need to structure your examples. Think about using something like the STAR method situation: task, action, result. It helps you create a mini story illustrating the skill.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Let's say you want to highlight collaboration. You could say, I believe I've really improved my cross-departmental collaboration this quarter. For instance, situation there was that conflict between marketing and product about the launch plan. Task. My goal was to find a resolution. Action in depth. So I set up a joint workshop, facilitated the discussion, and helped them map out a compromise plan. Result. And the launch went smoothly, with both teams feeling positive about the outcome.
Ah, okay. That turns a vague claim like I'm collaborative into a specific, impactful story.
Exactly. It provides the evidence.
Yeah.
And the phrases you use should reflect that confidence. I believe I've made solid progress on or one key achievement this period was.
Got it. Now, the flip side, talking about challenges, this can feel awkward. You don't want to sound like you're just complaining or making excuses.
No, definitely not. The key is to approach challenges constructively with a focus on solutions.
So how do you frame it?
First, state the challenge clearly and concisely. I'm currently facing a challenge with X, or one difficulty has been Y. But then, crucially, immediately talk about what you have done or are doing to address it.
Show you're taking ownership.
Precisely. I'm finding the current workload challenging due to the unexpected scope increase on Project Z issue. To manage this, I've already reprioritized my tasks, documented the potential impact on deadlines, and identified areas where I might need support action taken.
Okay, so you state the problem, but immediately pivot to your proactive steps.
Yes, and the one-on-one is the perfect time to then ask for specific support or guidance if needed, now that you've shown you're not just dumping the problem on them.
How do you ask for that help professionally?
Use collaborative language.
Yeah.
I would really appreciate your input on how best to navigate this stakeholder disagreement. Or, if you need something specific, could you provide some guidance on accessing the training budget for this course? Or, what are your thoughts on adjusting the deadline for Task B, given the current situation?
Frames it as seeking advice or resources, not just complaining.
Right. It shows initiative, you've analyzed the problem, tried things, and now you're seeking specific intervention or advice.
These meetings are also prime time for talking about career goals, right? Development, future opportunity.
Absolutely vital. This is your chance to signal your aspirations clearly to your manager. But again, vague doesn't work. I want a promotion isn't helpful.
So be specific.
Be specific about the skills you want to develop or the experiences you're seeking. Use targeted phrases. I'm really interested in developing my skills further in data visualization, perhaps by taking the lead on the dashboarding for the next project. Or, looking ahead, I'm eager to take on more client-facing responsibility. Are there opportunities to shadow senior account managers, or perhaps join client pitches? Link your aspirations to concrete areas or potential actions.
That gives the manager something tangible to work with, maybe suggest training, projects, mentorship.
Exactly. It helps them help you map out a path.
And throughout all this discussing performance, challenges, goals, active listening is critical, especially when the manager is giving you feedback.
Oh, absolutely. Receiving feedback, especially constructive criticism, requires careful listening and a non-defensive posture.
Easier said than done sometimes.
It can be, but try to genuinely hear the feedback. Ask clarifying questions if you need to. So, when you mention improving my presentation skills, are you thinking specifically about the structure or more the delivery?
Show you're trying to understand.
Yes, and acknowledge the feedback gracefully. Thank you for that feedback. I appreciate you pointing that out. Or, okay, that's helpful to know. I'll focus on X by doing Y. It shows you've heard it and are committed to acting on it.
Which all comes back to preparation, doesn't it? Thinking through your points, maybe even anticipating feedback, having notes.
It makes a world of difference. Going in prepared helps you stay calm, articulate your points clearly, listen effectively, and ultimately make the most of that valuable one-on-one time.
Okay, we've covered a lot of the formal communication, emails, reports, meetings, one-on-ones, but so much of working effectively with people comes down to the informal stuff, right? The day-to-day interactions.
Absolutely. It's what some people call the social glue. Building rapport, creating a positive atmosphere, just generally getting along with colleagues. That relies on a different kind of English, more casual, more relational.
And this can be tricky, navigating those informal chats, especially across different cultures.
It can, but often it starts simple, initiating casual conversation, maybe during a coffee break or waiting for a meeting to start.
What are the safe, easy ways to start those conversations? The go-to topics.
Keep it light and universal. The weather's a cliche, but it works. Can you believe this rain again? Weekend activities are usually safe. Did you have a good weekend? Or do anything fun over the weekend?
And if they ask you back?
Have a brief positive answer ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was nice, pretty relaxing, just caught up on some reading. Or, it was good, thanks, went for a hike on Saturday. Keep it concise. It's an exchange, not an interrogation.
Sports, food, maybe popular TV shows or movies can work too, depending on the workplace culture.
Definitely. The key, especially in many Western professional contexts, is to stick to neutral territory initially. Avoid potentially sensitive topics.
Right, like the classic advice, avoid politics, religion, maybe salary discussions.
Exactly. And deeply personal problems are usually best avoided in casual work chat too. Keep it relatively light and positive.
What if someone else brings up something that feels too personal? How do you handle that gracefully?
Good question. You need a polite deflection. You don't want to be rude, but you also don't need to engage if you're uncomfortable. You could gently redirect. Maybe smile and say, "Oh, wow, that sounds complicated. Hey, did you see the latest update on the project?" Or a simple, interesting. Well, I should probably get back to this report.
A gentle pivot.
Yeah.
Mm.
Or sometimes a slightly more direct, but still polite boundary. Hmm. I tend to keep my work life and home life pretty separate, but thanks for sharing.
Okay. We can also chat informally about work itself, right? Not in a formal meeting context, but just checking in.
Yeah, that's a great way to show interest and build connection around shared tasks. Asking a colleague, "Hey, how's that big presentation coming along?" Or, "Are you still working on the budget reconciliation? How's it going?"
Shows you're aware of what they're doing, shows support.
Exactly. And you can share a little about your own work, too, briefly. "I'm wrestling with this spreadsheet at the moment. Bit tricky." Or, "Just finished that user testing report. Feels good to get it done." Again, keep it relatively brief and generally positive or solution-focused if it's a challenge.
Let's talk about making plans. Socializing outside of strict work tasks, inviting someone for coffee or lunch or maybe after work drinks.
This is important for building stronger bonds. For a casual one-on-one invitation, keep it simple. Fancy grabbing a coffee later? Or, "Would you like to get lunch sometime this week?" Or, "Hey, thinking of heading for a quick drink after work. Want to join?"
Pretty straightforward. What about group things?
For group invites, make it open and collective. "Hey everyone, a few of us are planning to go for pizza after work on Friday. Anyone interested?" Yeah. Or, "We're thinking of organizing a team lunch next week. Any preferences on cuisine?" Make it easy for people to opt in.
Okay. Now the flip side again. Declining invitations. You can't always say yes, but you don't want to offend someone or seem unfriendly.
Politeness is absolutely key here. You're declining the invitation, not the person.
Good distinction.
So always express gratitude first. "Thanks so much for the invitation. That sounds fun." Then give a polite reason. Doesn't have to be super detailed. But "I actually have other plans tonight." Or, "But I won't be able to make it this time."
Okay.
You can soften it further by suggesting an alternative or future possibility, maybe next time. Or, "Perhaps we could grab that coffee tomorrow instead." If it's a group thing, just a simple, "Thanks for organizing, but I can't make it this week. Hope you all have a great time." Works well.
Keeps the door open, maintains the connection.
Exactly.
And finally, just the simple end of day goodbyes. Seems trivial, but it's part of that daily rhythm.
It is. Those little rituals matter. Standard farewells are easy and effective. "Have a good evening. See you tomorrow. Have a good night."
And on Fridays.
Definitely. "Have a great weekend."
Oh.
Or, "Enjoy your weekend," is standard and appreciated.
Can you add a bit more warmth sometimes?
Yeah, if you know someone's had a particularly rough day or a long week, a little extra acknowledgement goes a long way. Something like, "Hope you get some proper rest this weekend," or, "Wow, long day for you. Time to switch off and relax."
Shows you noticed. Shows a bit of care.
Exactly. It's those small, consistent demonstrations of consideration and friendliness using simple, appropriate English that really build that positive social fabric at work. #OutTrevor.
Wow, okay. That was quite the journey. We've really covered the waterfront of professional English, haven't we? From crafting the perfect email to decoding complex reports, navigating meetings, giving concise updates, handling those crucial one-on-ones, and even just, chatting by the coffee machine.
We really have. It touches on so many essential parts of daily work life. And the core message, I think, that came through from all the sources is about practical application. It's less about achieving some kind of grammatical perfection.
Which is impossible anyway.
Right. And more about mastering these specific scenarios, these strategic ways of using language to achieve your goals clearly and politely. Practice is everything. Don't be afraid to try these phrases out.
Yeah, continuous learning, continuous improvement. Every interaction is a chance to practice. Mistakes will happen. That's just part of learning.
Absolutely. Feedback, not failure.
So, when we boil it all down, what does it mean for you, the listener? It seems like effective professional life in English really rests on those twin pillars. Clarity, getting your message across unambiguously, and politeness, navigating the social and hierarchical aspects smoothly.
Well put. Your fluency in a practical workplace sense isn't just about having a huge vocabulary. It's about your ability to skillfully handle these specific, very common outcome-focused interactions.
Using the right tool for the job, linguistically speaking.
Precisely. Have the structures, have the phrases ready, and you can focus your mental energy on the actual substance of your work.
Okay, so we've given you the phrases, the structures, the strategies, but we want to leave you with a final thought, something to chew on. We talked about building rapport, that social glue.
Mm-hmm.
Think about this. What if you took one of those simple agreement phrases we discussed, like, that's an excellent point, or I really agree with that approach, and you deliberately paired it this week with a small, genuine compliment about a colleague's work or idea?
Combining validation with appreciation.
Exactly. How might that simple act, acknowledging their contribution positively, using precise professional language, how might that subtly shift your working relationships, your network, your collaborative energy this week? Consider using these tools not just for clarity, but for genuine connection.